Good sticks, everyone. Welcome to the Captain Avalanche Fancast, your unofficial source for all things Colorado Avalanche hockey and more from a fan perspective, hosted by me, Captain Avalanche Corey, and he's our series-clinching goal scorer, Dom. Now, we're no insiders. We're not inside the locker room face-to-face with our favorite players, but we hope to create a relatable and welcoming environment because we're just like all of you listening, fans. Fans with a deep passion for the game of hockey, and in this case, the Colorado Avalanche. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here because this series is over. For the first time since 2022, the Colorado Avalanche are headed back to the Western Conference Final to face either Vegas or Anaheim. Tonight's contest could tell all or leave us in suspense. We'll reflect on games 4 and 5 of the Colorado and Minnesota Wild series and the series as a whole, as well as narrowing in on specific points, players, stats, the works. But regardless, your Colorado Avalanche are advancing once again in a rather convincing fashion. Meanwhile, the Carolina Hurricanes patiently await their opponent in what is shaping up to be a series full of fireworks. 8 down, 8 to go today on the Captain Avalanche Fancast. And just like every week, if you like what we're doing here and you haven't hit the follow button, we'd really appreciate it if you did. And we would appreciate it even more if you told a friend, a family member, your dog, your cat, your goldfish about what we're doing over here. We want to grow this show, and this is shaping up to be a really special run for the Avalanche. I think everybody can see that. So we love sharing our passion about it, and we want, as many people to hear that as possible. So if you can help us spread the word as much as humanly possible, that means the world to us. But again, also hit that follow, subscribe, whatever the button is on the platform that you are listening on. Thank you so much, everybody. But we're just going to jump right into it. We are not going to dawdle one bit. The Avalanche advance to the Western Conference Final. The Colorado Avalanche haven't won a series-clinching game on home ice in 18 years. Not since 2008, which is horrifying for me, and I assume Dom, to think that 2008 was 18 years ago now. Anyways, even in 2022, when they won it all, none of the series wins were on home ice. The Avs had home ice the entire way after clinching the Western Conference and coming in second overall that year. But in their first series against the Predators, they swept them. Therefore, the series ended in Nashville. In Series 2 against St. Louis, the Avs were up 3-1 like they were against Minnesota with a chance to close it out at home. And a Nathan MacKinnon end-to-end hat trick goal, probably his best of his career, except for maybe one we'll talk about here in a bit, to take the lead. That would have led you to believe they were going to win it. But St. Louis tied it late and spoiled the party in OT, sending it back to St. Louis, where we got my personal favorite goal in Avs history from Darren Helm to win the series. But nonetheless, that series was concluded in 6 games on the road in St. Louis. In the Western Conference Final against Edmonton, the Avs swept their opponent again, and thus the series ended in Edmonton. Lastly, the Stanley Cup Final against the 2-time defending champs Tampa Bay, the Avs once again had a 3-1 series lead with the chance to have the Stanley Cup awarded on home ice, but Tampa had other ideas. Thus, the series was ended in 6 games on the road in Tampa. But that curse was broken by Brett Kulak's overtime heroics in Denver Wednesday night, and the Avs now look ahead to Anaheim or Vegas. I didn't want to dawdle on anything else. I want to talk about this now, and while I will reflect on the games that got us here, I really want to deep dive and talk about specific points that are on my mind in regards to this series. And now that we can all breathe at the fact that it's over, let's dive right in. First and most important point is right before we recorded this, the conference final schedules were released. No matter how the Anaheim-Vegas series ends, whether it's in 6 or 7, the Avalanche will play next Wednesday, the 20th, which is great. That means, first of all, we can watch the game and probably reports back to you next Thursday/Friday when we record again, because normally we record on Wednesday, post on Thursday, but if there's a game this important, we got to watch that, and that takes priority. But it depends on how late it ends. But no matter what, the Avs are getting a week of rest, which is monstrously critical. Sam Malinski's still ailing, although him and Arturi Lehkonen were apparently possibilities for Game 5, but obviously they deemed them unnecessary, and they were not needed for that game. So they have time to heal. Cale Makar obviously is dealing with some type of injury, so any amount of time that he can get is a welcomed one. And Carolina, for some reason, gets possibly even more rest. If the Montreal and Buffalo series ends in 6, they will play before us on the 19th, but if not, they will play after on the 21st. Fucking ridiculous. But Dom, in regards to the home ice series finisher, just in that kind of frame of mind, anything you wanted to add there?
Well, that was a fun fact to me when I first heard it.
Lots of fun facts in this video.
Yeah, we're going to be hitting you with fun facts left, right, and center, probably in every segment or close to it. So if you like fun facts, stay tuned. If you have an imaginary friend even who likes fun facts, tell them, and maybe they'll tell their fellow imaginary friends, and then that'll get to people you don't even know, but they'll somehow hear about us. So send those vibes out through the universe, get all the friends here. But yeah, that was something I had not realized. Again, being the Sharks fan, not always tracking all of Avalanche history prior to this podcast. Easy to understand in my own head why I wouldn't know that, and also shocking with how well this team has performed, that clinching games, they just couldn't manage to do it at home. I wonder if that's a mental thing after it's been that many different times, but there's also so much turnover in the team, so maybe it's just completely random, and randomness you can't predict. But either way, it's over now. Brett Kulak, overtime heroics is an understatement. Stops a 2-on-1 rush on one end, scores the winner on the other, and you could just feel it. But I don't want us to jump too far into the game, depending on how you have this segment laid out, Corey. So I will pass it back to you, and we can dive in deeper, as I'm sure we will.
Yes, thank you. Where we will actually start, and I wrote this wrong in my notes already, so that's hilarious, but we will start with goaltending. Jesper Wallstedt was the Wild's best player this entire series, full stop. Even during the game that he let in 8 goals, every game he was the difference maker, in particular in games 4 and 5. Had it not been for Jesper Wallstedt, the Avalanche would have dispatched the Wild much more handedly. Because in both games, the Avalanche simply took over and controlled play. They were utterly shelling Wallstedt. In the Wild's sole victory, Wallstedt, after standing on his head, jokingly collapsed to the ice in exhaustion, but I don't think that was 100% an act. But he kept the Avs at bay. The Wild truly have something special here, and would be smart to not trade him away to anyone, because he can be their difference maker going into the future. He ended the series with a .889 save percentage, but had a 4.4 goal save above expected, which was 5th best among all playoff goalies. Game 1, is definitely going to skew things one way or the other, but it doesn't take away from the amazing performances that he had. The Avalanche, especially in games 4 and 5, in my mind, could have pulled 2 or 3 goals away from the Wild. But even when his team could generate almost 0 offense at points, the wall of St. Paul stood tall. But he can only do so much. Goalies can't score goals, and when the depth of the Avalanche come in waves, even the greatest walls will fall. Now, Mackenzie Blackwood looked incredible in Game 4, and I will hear no narratives or arguments to the counter. Scott Wedgwood had a rough Game 3 after being dialed the first 6 fucking wins, and Blackwood came in that game and at least gave the Avalanche a chance, but the Wild knew they couldn't go down 3-0, and they are still a talented team regardless of the series as a whole. But I think starting Blackwood, unlike when the Wild started Gustafsson, was actually did give Wedgwood a physical and mental rest. After all, I can never spell his name right. I thank you. For those of you who can't see this, Dom is always following along in my notes because I prepare a little differently than he does. And he's always like correcting my little mistakes that I make. What sucks is sometimes Google thinks I'm making a mistake when I just speak a very particular way. So he'll try and fix it, and then he'll be like, oh, wait, I see what he means. And then he'll stop himself. It's very funny. But anyway, Wedgwood did get a physical and mental reset. After all, he has never played continuous playoff hockey or really this much back-to-back hockey in his career until this year. Blackwood came in and played like the #1 goalie that he was brought in to be. He came out of Game 4 rocking a .912 save percentage between his elite relief appearance and an excellent bounce-back victory in St. Paul. Now, this goes out to all the dipshits who trashed on his name to start Game 5, saying shit like, not starting Wedgwood was a mistake. Or, let me see, where was I saying? Or that it was insane, or that we would be up 1-0 had it not been for Blackwood, or we would have been up 1-0 if Blackwood wasn't in net. I truly do not know why there are some fans out there who just fucking hate Mackenzie Blackwood for no fucking reason. Do you understand the Avalanche had the best regular season in their history because of both Wedgwood and Blackwood? Do you understand that the Avalanche beat Minnesota because of Wedgwood and Blackwood? Do you understand that the Avalanche only have one loss in these playoffs because of Wedgwood and Blackwood? People act like if Blackwood doesn't have a fucking shutout every game, he's the next Georgiev. The Avalanche as a team came out flat to start Game 5. Was there a goal among the three that Blackwood will want back? Of course. But giving the Wild multiple odd man rushes, leaving your defensive assignments uncovered, playing without any urgency around your goaltender gives the opposing team free reign to take shots and make plays on your goalie. That first period is on the team. And just like in Game 5 with Wedgwood in 3, Blackwood was not pulled because he was poor, because he overall was poor, same as Wedgwood, but because the team needed a realization that this is a series clinching game. This is a team you can beat, and you've beaten before. The Avalanche did lock it down after that, because following that first period where the Wild had, I believe, and I know this is true now, they had 13 plus shots. Wedgwood only had to face 7. In fact, the Avalanche outshot the Wild 22-7 the remainder of the game. That's not to say that Wedgwood himself didn't have some great saves, and he locked it down to ensure the Wild didn't get any freebies or score any more. But Blackwood was at the mercy of an Avalanche team who didn't have the effort necessary to start off on the right foot in a series clincher. I'm just genuinely sick of all the fucking gremlins who hate on this guy when he came in the middle of last year and helped pull this team out from the fucking doldrums and depths of Moria, and then has continued to be consistent as fuck since then. Not to mention, him and Wedgwood are not competing for the net like Waltz and Gus. They were supporting each other in net. They are each other's greatest wingman and supporter, and that's why the Avs can win regardless of who is in between the pipes. Oh yeah, they also won the fucking Jennings Trophy. That's a team, a tandem award. God, fuck, people. Don, before I give flowers to a different goaltender, anything about Wallstead, anything about Gustafsson, anything about our goaltenders that you'd like to add? I'm a little upset at people.
Yeah, you should be. And I am too, because we gave you Blackwood for a bag of potato chips. And I would gladly take him back if you're going to shit on him. But let's get something straight here. Both of the times the goalies were pulled and quick goals were scored early, sure. Were the goalies perfect? No. But it wasn't because the goalies were failing either. It was to give the team a kick in the ass and a wake-up call. So, in both cases, I don't think the goalie was bad enough to deserve to be pulled. It was just a move from a gamesmanship. Hey, the locker room is a letdown right now. We needed to take some pre-workout before going on the ice because we look like we're napping and just getting out of bed in the morning instead of coming ready to play a hockey game. That is the one concern here, a pattern. If you want to scream and be mad about something, yell at the entire rest of the team for not learning how to play the first 10 minutes of a hockey game. Because it happened multiple times, and this team is better than that. So if you really need to be mad about something out there, people, that's what you can be mad about. That I would accept. I would understand. Maybe not endorse, because I still think this team is dominant and they're getting the job done. And we don't need to be mad. We don't need to be putting bad energy out into the universe, right? That's going to come back to haunt you. But if you're going to be mad about something, don't take it out on the goalies. They're doing their job. They're doing the best they can. It's hockey. it's not rocket science, but it's also nonlinear. You can't just say, oh, goals went in the net, it's the goalie's fault. No, there's a lot more to it than that. So educate yourself before you start hating.
And I guarantee you, regardless of who started that game against the Wild, we would have been down 3-0 no matter what. Because exactly as Dom said, if the team was going to play like that, we were going down 3-0 no matter what. But guess what? We still won the fucking game. And I don't know why people want to genuinely complain so hard. Every fucking goaltender has a bad night. And guess what? All the Vezina-nominated goaltenders, they're eliminated. Or they didn't even make the playoffs to begin with. Well, everybody has a bad fucking day. And I don't even believe that Blackwood or Wedgwood do. Like, why are we trying to purposely drive this guy out of town? Number one goaltenders don't just fucking fall out of the sky. Edmonton will fucking tell you that. So I don't know what people want. Yeah, Nabokov will be ready very soon, but you know, if we want to keep having runs like this, you need to support both of your goaltenders. Quit hating on Blackwood for no reason. Another goalie I want to give.
Before you do, I'm sorry, because I know you mentioned also about Wallstedt and Gustafsson, so I wanted to jump in there on that because, I get it. He lost the series. He had the most goals allowed in his career. If Minnesota is dumb enough to still have Wallstedt on the trade market because they're just going to commit to Gus because they paid Gus already, sign me up. Like, let's get this done. Mike Greer, work your magic. Send Askey the other way if you have to. I don't really care. Wallstedt's the real deal. We saw it. And were his stats perfect? No. But he was up against an onslaught, a shelling from the Avalanche. So I mean, I get it. Askey's going to be good. He had a good year developing. This is not to shit on Askey, Sharks fans. This is just because Wallstedt, to me, could be the young one, right? The Lucas Dobesh, that's Dostal. I'm mixing up names. Jakub Dobesh. He's playing that style of performance just in the Western Conference. The young goaltender who's overperforming expectations massively, I feel like. Because even though we had expectations of him, I still think he outperformed those expectations. And maybe, in my opinion, I don't think he's getting enough credit because of the team in front of him. The team stats maybe brought him down. But like you said, Corey, the goals saved above expected was phenomenal, and that's a better measure for the goalie. Also, shout out Kirill the Thrill, and how much money is he making now?
17
apparently
bills.
Yeah, 17 bills. And they apparently were undefeated when he had a multi-point game, and they went 4-1 in this series. So nice job. Way to go. Making all that money. Woo!
The Wild
Way to
that
go,
also,
you, Minnesota.
The Wild that also never lost when leading by multiple goals.
Well, more fun facts, but I guess what I'm trying to say is Minnesota's depth problems there showed up. They put all that money into Kaprizov, and if he doesn't score 2 goals a game, they aren't winning. So, I mean, and we saw that. Again, we'll get to game 5, but if you have some actual depth instead of McCarron on your second line with that chance in overtime and late in the third, maybe they have a chance, but come on. That's not going to compete with a team like the Avalanche, who were just zipping around on the ice, looking like they were Usain Bolt running laps around, I don't know what, a turtle. Like, it was such a disparity. You could see it. It was like watching 2 different frame rates on the screen at the same time. I'll stop now. We'll get to it, but you have to give flowers to this guy because he's been killing it in the Calder playoffs.
Yes, but real quick, and I mean, I think Gustafsson is still a great goalie. I think he's a really good goalie. I just think, he was suffering from, he was not consistent coming into the playoffs, and then you put him in just as cold can be, and it's like, okay, go fix it. Whereas Blackwood was not in that same situation. He had still been playing up to that point. So, yeah, I think that was a rough situation for him, and kind of on Hines for just being like, all right, go beat the Avalanche. Like, okay. But I do think Wallstedt has the higher upside. So if you had to pick and choose, I mean, I'd be going with Wallstedt all day. But yes, flowers here. I need to shout out Trent Miner. for the Colorado Eagles. If you don't know who Trent Miner is, you're stupid. He came up and played a few games for the Avalanche when Blackwood was injured at different points in the season. He backed up Wedgwood and actually got a start or two and finally got his first National Hockey League win. He looked great in every game that he was in. It was really just the team in front of him that failed. He really was stellar every time he was in there. But he has led the Colorado Eagles. The AHL actually has 5 rounds in their playoffs. The Eagles are currently in their 3rd round matchup against Coachella Valley, which is Seattle's farm team. But Trent Miner just recorded his 4th shutout. Oh my God. He is leading the AHL playoffs in save percentage and what am I thinking of? Goals against average. Hold on. Let me see if I can find his stats exactly right now, because he is playing out of his mind. Here we go. He currently has a GAA of 0.95.
Holy shit.
A save percentage of 0.958. Holy fuck. And again, 4 shutouts in 7 games. He has more shutouts than he has goal. He has a goal a game. 7 games, 7 goals, 4 shutouts. Oh my God. So I could not shout out Trent Miner, because holy shit.
Yeah, Trent Miner has done well in his step up performances to the NHL. And if he keeps doing this, he's going to be playing in the NHL next year for the Avs or for somebody else. Like, there's going to be somebody who's going to come and offer to the Avalanche something for him, because he's playing himself into a job. He's playing incredible. I mean, think back to last year, right? When Abbotsford went on to win. Who was that in net? Archer Shelovs. Who's going to be the starter for Pittsburgh next year? Shelovs. So, I mean, yeah, it took a bit, right? He got traded midseason, then started playing some in the playoffs, right? It wasn't exactly like, oh, he was the day one starter. Trent Miner is going to be an NHL goalie by the end of next season, probably by the midway point, and he's not going to look back. This is... goalies take time to mature. They don't get there just as fast as star players on the offensive side. So based on what's his age? He's like in that 20s range, right? Like mid to late 20s.
He's pretty young.
Yeah. Which that's also...
He's 25. He's younger than you and I.
Yeah, he's pretty young, but also not like these 18 to 22-year-olds who make the jump as the star players on offense, right? Like MacLeod. This is where goalies start to take that next step potentially in that 25 to 28 range, where they could cement themselves and have a legitimate NHL career. So he's following the blueprint right now, and he could be, I mean, out of nowhere, the Avalanche go trade both of their goalies, get the best tandem in the NHL, and now you tell me they have 2 phenomenal prospects up and coming, or one of them's here saying, hello, I've arrived. You guys have so much bargaining power now. So for all of you who want Blackwood to go, you can make up a mock trade in your head. I don't think you should, but you can, and figure out what the Avs should get in return, or what they should get in return for Trent Miner. I feel like that'll be an interesting offseason segment we'll have to do, Corey.
Yeah, certainly so. We don't have to get too far into it right now, because topic for a different day. I do disagree with you in the sense that I think Trent Miner is an excellent AHL goaltender, and I think against AHL competition, he is at a high level, but I am not fully convinced that translates to the NHL level, because it's 2 different levels. And for all intents and purposes, I hope you're right, though. I do, genuinely. I think if you can earn your way into the NHL like that, you deserve the shot. And if he does, great. That would not make me sad for him. It would suck to lose him, but that doesn't make me sad for him. But I don't know if I necessarily agree with that assertion at this current point in time, but I want him to prove me wrong. But we will go ahead and move on to our next segment here. And that is going to be all about the target of the Mikko Rantanen trade, Martin Necas. Because we were talking about haters. Speaking of haters, I truly do not know what more you want from one Martin Necas. Oh, he is a playoff ghost. This is the year he has single-handedly proven the contrary. He has made the effort to be physical, forecheck, be smart defensively, buy into the system, and still put up points. Well, he isn't scoring goals. I want more from him. Brother, what? In this series alone, he had 9 fucking points. 1 goal and 8 assists. 9 points in 5 games. Not to mention helping set up the wicked, nasty tying goal from Nathan MacKinnon and the Gary's glitching fucking goal. He is second on the team going to Nathan fucking MacKinnon points. Yeah, he doesn't have fucking 30 by the end of round 2 like Leon or Connor, but he doesn't need to do everything for this team because everyone is scoring. More on that in a bit. But he can't be on the ice for 60 minutes, but he is making an impact every game, even if he isn't putting it in the net. Yes, you want him to shoot more because you know he can. He was second on the team in goals. He passes a bit too much sometimes, but most of the time the motherfuckers he passes to find the back of the net. Not to mention, his entries are second to none. His zone entries, to clarify. He has so many qualities and things that are happening that aren't necessarily a shot on goal that have been invaluable to this team up to this point in the playoff run. I truly don't think I can ask more of Martin Necas at this point other than for him to keep it up.
You want Martin Necas to shoot more, Avs fans? Clearly you weren't paying attention to the OT game winner, series winner in game 5. What did he do? He went around the net, moved the goalie, moved the defense, set up a perfect pass for a wide open net to Kulak. That is all Marty Necas on the assist there. Yes, Kulak forces the turnover and then goes all the way to the other end to score. So he makes the D play and the offensive play. But who did everything in the middle? It was all Marty Necas. So he doesn't have to just shoot every time, okay? He is a high-quality player who can think more about the game, get to a level beyond what you or I sitting watching are capable of, and set up that play that wins you a series. Again, stop hating. Your team is a wagon. You've got nothing to complain about. If you want to complain, go be a fan of the Canucks. Then you have an excuse to complain. Go, GTFO. Seriously, we don't have time for that energy. This team is going to win the cup. So quit it. I'm sick of it. This roster, I'll say it. Corey, you told me I'm not allowed to say it, or you won't believe it until they win the cup. But I think this.
Don't say it.
Okay, fine. But you know what I want to say, Corey, and it's true that this team, there's nothing to hate, okay? They have bad games. They're human beings. Big whoop. They're still dominant. Necas has been exactly what this team needed. He fits in with the chemistry better. If that's not enough, go look up Rantanen's stats from round 1 versus Necas's, and I'll rest my case there.
No, you don't want to do that. Necas only had 2 points in round 1. But he woke up. He woke up in this round.
I meant in total. Sorry, but just because Rantanen only has round very true to compare against.
But three kind of follow-ups. One, most of the grievances came before game 5. And 2, for everybody out there who thinks that we're yelling at you, we're probably not, just because those feelings are really in the minority, to be totally honest with you. It's the armchair quarterbacks or armchair freaking coaches of the world, which, me and Dom are, but it's the people who just like, oh, why isn't our star player doing everything? Who are these weird depth guys who keep scoring? It's the ignorant folks. And if you're listening to the Captain Avalanche Fancast, you're not an ignorant folk, but we like to make fun of the ignorant folk, and you like to laugh at them with us. So know that these rants really are not at you, but they're also just to highlight a point of, wow, Martin Necas is, playing super duper well. We are super appreciative of him. So it's just kind of it's a way for us to make a point in a, I think, more comedic and flair, in a way full of flair and exaggeration. So that's more what it is. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. And I would say this is a fan cast from a fan perspective.
Yeah, true. We're fans.
And as fans, we are just as passionate as all of you listening. So sometimes our emotions might carry us away a little bit. But it's also because we're just shocked by what we're seeing and how incredible it is on the ice. And that even when they have mistakes, it's so easy to look over because of just how much there is to watch. That's been incredible. So I think it's the thought that anybody could be poo-pooing on this. It's irritating where it's like, I'm sorry, are you watching 5 seconds of this game instead of the full 60 minutes and then some? I think it's admittedly a little triggering where I'm like, do you know hockey at all? Did you watch this one single segment instead of the whole game?
They're looking up at the TV from the bar and they watch like 5 seconds and see Marty make like a bad play. And then they get on fucking Instagram or Twitter and they're like, Marty Nash is bad. And it's just like, bro, what? Here's a fun fact for you, Dom. I don't know if you saw this. Martin Necas on the game-winning, series-clinching assist wasn't even supposed to be on the ice because I was laughing when I saw the goal because it was Marty Necas to Brett Kulak, but then Jack Drury and Parker Kelly were the other ones on the ice. I'm like, well, Marty Necas doesn't normally play with those two guys. It's because Marty Necas himself noticed, oh, there's not enough players on the ice. And he made the decision himself. He wasn't told to do this. He was like, I need to get out there and put himself over the boards on the ice. And obviously it was the right call because he was right there to receive the stretch pass and take it up the ice and set up really a perfect play. And it was just all intuition on his part.
Well, that is a fun fact I did not know, but also how fitting of not maybe an intended transition, but how about Jack Drury and Parker Kelly both having a heck of a game in Game 5? And, oh, by the way, who else came from Carolina? I mean, again, more evidence of why this trade has worked out. You have the players you need. Also, Jack Drury is just like your face-off god right now for your team. So
that he is.
This team is so much fun to watch. It's so much fun to talk about.
It is a good time. So we'll go ahead and move into our next section, and that's the definition of domination. According to ESPN and the denizens of the internet, the Wild's Game 3 victory over the Avs in Minnesota to keep themselves from going down 3-0 in the series was a total domination. I would agree. In Game 3, the Minnesota Wild completely stripped the Avalanche of their ability to play their game. The Wild superstars took over. Wallstead virtually stopped everything minus a PP goal that he couldn't stop because there were people on top of him. But for 3 periods, the Wilds played the Wild game plan and brand of hockey and made the Avalanche look silly. Matt Boldy had a goal. Brock Faber had 3 points, which included a goal of his own. Kirill Kaprizov had 3 points, including a goal. Quinn Hughes had a goal and an assist. Everyone you would want to show up for the Wild in a victory over the mighty Colorado Avalanche did. The Wild showed that the series was far from over, beating the Avalanche 5-1 at home in a building that the Avalanche had not lost in a long time. I don't remember the year. Sorry. The Avalanche then responded the following game and beat the Wild 5-2. Yes, there were 2 empty netters included, but you don't not shoot at an open goal mouth. The Wild would certainly agree. But at the conclusion of that game, ESPN asserted unemphatically that the reason the Avalanche won was due to a, quote, uncharacteristic mistake from the Wild defense, close quote. Would the Wild defense have wanted to play better? Of course. Would the Wild fans want to ship Middleton out into the middle of the ocean in a box and let it drown? Yes. There are always ways to do better without your best shutdown defenseman. I can hear you giggling in the back.
I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard. That was funny. It's not in your notes either, so I was not ready for that one. That one caught me truly off guard.
Yeah, improvise. Bro, they fucking hate that guy. We'll get to it, though. Without your best shutdown defenseman in Brodin and the best defensive two-way center in Eriksson Ek, the defense will suffer. But there was a point in this game where the Avalanche had 20 shots on goal. The Wild had 4. There was a point in this game where the Wild went over 19 minutes without a shot. Matt Boldy and Kirill Kaprizov were limited to 1 shot each over the course of the game. If that isn't total domination, I don't know what is. If beating this team in 5 games, a team that beat the mighty Dallas Stars, is not total domination, I don't know what is. And this is not to say that the Wild played bad in this game specifically. Wallstead was rock solid, and the offense for the Wild still found opportunities when there were none. But the Avalanche simply outplayed them in every way. To even touch the puck was a blessing for the Wild. They couldn't be in the Avs zone for more than 5 seconds because the puck was already gone and up the ice. Not to mention, this notion is equally as insulting to both teams. Each team is out there absolutely trying their guts out, trying to really giving it everything they have. You mean to tell me that for 3, now 4 wins that the Avalanche got were nothing to do with the Avalanche, but everything to do with just the Wild's poor defense? You're saying that the Wild's defense is so bad that it's dropping games, that their offense isn't shining through? Do you see how unbelievably shallow that narrative is, ESPN?
People joke about refs being bought off, right? Paying the refs for calls, and you'll see it in all sports. Who in the hell paid ESPN to be the biggest Wild stands this year? Because, oh my God, that
brutal.
coverage was so wild, pro-Wild in every game, even the games when the Avalanche were at home. It was insane. And it bled over to the TNT coverage as well. It just seemed like all of the hockey media was like, Avalanche bad. They big bad demon team. They're gonna win. Let's go upset. Wild can do it. Rah. And then, much like natural selection, the wild animals got swallowed up by an avalanche. And I had to make some form of pun because it's me and I'm the worst. But the Avalanche, they were just the better team. And it's just makes you sound dumb and just ignorant to try to make excuses and say what the Wild defense did wrong. I mean, sure, Middleton, we can get into it and how poorly he played, but they just got beat by a better team, by, oh wait, the best team in the regular season in the NHL. Is it really that surprising? Did they have to do anything wrong for the Avalanche to end up winning? Like, the fact that that was 2 empty netters is extra proof to say that they actually played well to keep it a 1-score game until that end part there. So just, I don't know, feels unprofessional and
it's just lazy.
I don't know. Lazy. Yeah, that's the word for it. Lazy. And maybe just trying to fill airtime, have something to talk about other than, yep, Avalanche did it. They won. That's a wrap. 1 minute. That's all it takes. But are we really that surprised? Like that's what the coverage should have been. But of course, they're never going to do that. They got to fill the air.
Yes, I suppose so. But I don't need to dawdle on it anymore because the series is over and it's over in 5. And I think I might talk about this later, but I'm just going to say that surprised me because I know the Wild are a good team. They were a good team. They played exceptionally well, even being down players. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna pause on that thought because I think I can talk about it better in this next section here. So let me jump into this. Depth. I still remember in 2022, the saying over and over again was next man up. This could not be more true in this series right now. Last night, Brett Kulak scored the game-winning and series-clinching goal. Had Arturi Lehkonen not been injured, you best believe it probably would have been him, the most clutch goal scorer in Avs history. Had Cale Makar not gotten hurt earlier in the game and had to limit his time on ice and exposure from then on, it might have been him pairing out there. But no, it was Brett Kulak getting his first goal of the playoffs and at the perfect time. With him scoring, the Avalanche now have 16 unique goal scorers throughout this series.
Fuck your life! Bing bong!
After already setting an NHL record at 15 before last night. 16 different goal scorers. 16 guys out there making a difference, seeking to make an impact on the ice. You don't need to throw the top line on the ice over and over again because nothing is getting done. Everyone is stepping up. Every line can score, and that is beyond invaluable if this team wants to go deep. Cale Makar goes down when the Avs are already shorthanded defensively, so Brett Burns has his best game of the series and sets up goal number 1. Taves steps in and sets up goal number 2. Oh, and both of the goal scorers are on the 4th line. Then your big boys still step up and do what they do best. Wallstead was great in this game again, as we said time and time again, especially after his team sat back after period 1 and didn't try to press the issue. He worked his ass off to try and stop the comeback. But when Nathan MacKinnon says he doesn't want to lose, there isn't much anyone can do to stop him at that point. Wallstead is in perfect position was in perfect position prior to Nathan MacKinnon's game-tying goal. He's hugging the post, ready to push off in case of a cross-crease pass. But it's just special players doing special things. Who else and what else but Nathan MacKinnon firing the puck into a hole about the size of a puck to tie the game and force OT in the dying minutes of the game. But it wasn't just this game, Game 5. The depth showed up every day. Game 4, it was Ross Colton who helped the Avs break the tie and take the lead for the first time. And then Parker Kelly gets his first to give the lead back after Quinn Hughes put it on a platter for Nico Sturm. It was in Game 2 when Nick Waugh beat Wallstead straight up to extend the lead. It was everyone in Game 1, but that's the point. The Avalanche are winning games because everyone is buying in. Everyone is becoming the next man up. This team is hard to beat, not just because of the top-end talent, their Jennings winning goalie tandem, or even the fact that their power play is finally working. It's the fact that you are never safe. Every single combination of guys on the ice for the Avalanche is a threat. Any forward can score. The D will always be involved. You can't lose track of a single player because any one of them will make you pay. Brett Kulak proved that case in point. Yes, you can be nitpicky and say you want more scoring from Brock Nelson or Valerian Nichushkin, and yeah, I would love to see those guys get going, but it's really only a valid complaint if the scoring isn't being supplemented elsewhere, and it most certainly is. Another aspect of depth that is occurring to me, at least further, is special teams. The national broadcast liked to dog on the Avs' penalty kill, but I still thought it was excellent this series. It was only in Game 3 that it truly struggled in a way that it hasn't before, but otherwise, majority of the time, when a penalty kill failed, it was in unique situations, such as a 6-on-4 or in a double minor situation. But ultimately, the important thing for me is the power play. It worked. They figured it out, at least for this series. This was the reason the Avalanche couldn't beat Dallas last year. The power play just couldn't get them one goal when it needed to. In this series, an example for Game 2, the power play was the difference maker, and the PK kept the Wild from getting any of their own in those games. And the point that I was going to make before was, and I'm not saying any Wild fan was using this as an excuse, but you could say, you know, what if the Wild had Eriksson Ek? What if they had Brodin? Yeah, maybe this series would have gone on a little longer, but the Avalanche were dealing with injuries too. They didn't have Josh Manson for the first half of the series. And then when Josh Manson finally comes back, you lose Sam Malinsky and Arturi Lehkonen, a great two-way defenseman and one of your best defensive forwards in Lehkonen. Lehkonen's often the guy that's glued to the team's top players, and you don't have that guy. So both teams suffered, but again, that's the depth of the Avalanche. Even when guys like that, who are so valuable to the team, are injured, this team can still play the right way and win these games and look as though those guys are still on the ice because someone else can step up into their place perfectly. That's why the Avalanche won this series, because not only did they have the better center depth, which people talk about a lot, and I agree with, had the better depth everywhere.
Minnesota has a phenomenal GM,
Oh, Billy.
but the Avalanche, it's just better, for lack of a better word. It's just better. They're just better because this is why roster construction matters. This is why not paying a single player $17 million a year matters, because then you can have depth. This is why making the right trades, not just making trades, but the right trades, bringing in a Nazem Kadri, a Brett Kulak, a Blankenberg, right? Those moves were huge for the Avalanche, and they've been huge in these playoffs and in the second round as well. But it was the timing of moves. You can afford to lose players. You know, in the playoffs, it's a bit of luck and health is a part of it, and it's the same every year. So I say boo-hoo. Wild fans, if you have a problem with it, if you need to cry about it,
I don't
go
think
cry
they
to
do.
your GM. I don't think they do either, but if anybody does, the problem they shouldn't be taking away from the Avalanche. They should just say, well, the GM just has to give us more depth next time. We can't be relying on just this core star players. That's why Toronto fell every time. They were relying on 4 players to make an entire team, and it just doesn't work that way. So that just ties into my point from before. Also, just because numbers, 16 unique players in this series. The Avalanche have 17 different players in the entire playoffs who have scored a goal out of 21 skaters, offense and defense. The only ones who haven't scored a goal for the Avalanche so far, Yoel Kiviranta, Jack Ashan, Josh Manson, and Brent Burns. Burnsy has assists, and we know he doesn't shoot as much as he used to. Ashan has only played 2 games and showed up massively when he's been there. Manson was injured and missed time, still has a couple of assists, and Kivi has only been out there 4 games as well. So, out of 9. But everybody else, everybody who's played for at least 6 games, 7 games, has at least a goal other than Brent Burns. That is nuts. And Burns is still +7. So, you know, this isn't, 16 unique in this series, but 17 out of 21. If that's not depth, I don't know what is. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah. So there you go. Hold on. I'm doing some quick math here.
What are you doing? 17 divided by 21?
What? Huh? No. No. Oh, I did.
And that's just goals. Technically, if it's points, there's only 2 players who don't have at least a point for the Avalanche.
It was just like a Jacob Middleton stat where they were like, Jacob Middleton was on the ice for like 13 of the 19 Avalanche goals, not counting empty netters, and it was just a brutal fucking stat line. So just Wild fans have... So yeah, Wild fans have just torn that guy apart. And I mean, I can understand why you'd be upset, because they'll point out, they're like, he was the exact reason the play even happened. It was like a failed clear or a bad turnover. And it's like, oof. But anyway, speaking of defensemen, I'm gonna move on into this point, and that is the best defenseman. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Quinn Hughes won the battle of this series in my eyes. First of all, he was able to remain healthy throughout, despite being on the smaller side and taking an exceptional amount of abuse from the Avs players. He got hit, manhandled, slammed, tripped, slashed, whatever. And he kept getting back up and having an impact on the ice. He maintained the excellent skating that made him a threat every time he was out there. And he was out there a lot. He truly influenced every game for the Wild. He had a point in every game except for game 2, where the Avs didn't dominate, as we mentioned earlier. He was the driver of the Wild's offensive attack, much like McKinnon is for the Avs, but he's a defenseman. The way that Hughes can dictate and orchestrate play on the ice is different from Cale Makar, but no less skilled. It's no wonder the Wild played him 30 minutes a night. But I think that came with a cost, not just to Quinn, but to the Wild as a whole. Cale came out of this series with a respectable 3 points. Quinn came out with 7. Cale never truly took over a game like Quinn had to for Minnesota, but Cale also didn't need to. The Wild essentially hid their second and third pair behind Quinn or defense behind Quinn and Brock Faber as much as possible because they didn't trust them. That wasn't the case for Colorado. As we just mentioned, even when Cale Makar got hurt in Game 5, a game already without Sam Malinsky, the Avalanche are well-rounded enough on defense that you don't need to rely on your defenseman every minute, on your best defenseman every minute to make things happen. I commend Quinn and say he won this battle, not the war, because he was everything to the Minnesota Wild. Now we wait and see what comes next for his journey. But in case you're wondering what I think overall, Cale Makar is the best defenseman in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, there will always be the debate, and I don't think anybody will ever disagree that they are two generational defensemen, and we get to see them both play at the same time. So that's a blessing for all of us that we get to see them battle it out and both be playing in the same game. But because this episode is filled with fun facts, Quinn set the record for the most time on ice in a non-overtime playoff game in the last 10 years. 34 minutes and 13 seconds of ice time. He played 34 out of 60 minutes. He played literally more than half of the game. That is absurd. To have that type of talent that he has, the goal scoring ability, the ability to stop and start, create space for himself, and be out there for 34 minutes. Absolute, just respect to him and his abilities, his endurance as a human being. I mean, everybody knows the talent, but that doesn't get enough credit, especially when he was taking the punishment he was in this series. So huge amount of respect to him. Like you said, Corey, he won the battle. He won one of those games, or helped make sure the Wild won one of those games. He won the battle of best defenseman in this series. But ultimately, one player does not make a team. So now we'll all watch and wait and see if his brothers are coming to Minnesota, or if he's maybe going to New Jersey, or if they all wind up somewhere else together with the offseason right around the corner.
Yeah. Again, I'll be interested. I feel like he could stick around. And I mean, with the cap going up, they could obviously pay him, but then it's like, at what cost can you afford the depth going forward? The Avalanche can afford to pay Makar because they already have really good roster construction. But it really was, just getting away from that, it really was fascinating getting the opportunity to watch Quinn up close. And as much as I don't like him, I think, as a person, just watching him as a player, I really was just in awe of him on the ice a lot. I mean, he truly is just insanely graceful out there. The way he just kind of teleports from one spot to another, like I said, just fascinating. And I really do understand, like, him and Cale's play styles are the same yet different. They get the same results, but they get to that result in different ways. And it was just, it was interesting to kind of finally really start to understand the point of, well, Quinn Hughes is the best defenseman in the NHL. I was like, well, why? Why do you think that way? So seeing it, it was nice to maybe get a better understanding of it and get a better overall picture of that opinion. But obviously, yes, I am biased at the end of the day, but I still do think that it is Cale Makar. But again, even though Cale Makar didn't have as many points in this series, again, we had the luxury of Cale Makar fucking not having to play fucking 30 minutes a night because all of your defensemen are good. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just as a last point there, just joining you in the transition here, it's how he makes it look effortless.
Yes.
He makes 30 minutes look easy. He makes the teleportation look easy. It's not. He and Makar, maybe Werenski, there's a few defensemen who could even be considered in that same realm of their movement and how fluid it is. And even amongst that realm, he has a way of doing it that is so unique to Quinn. So regardless of who he is off the ice or what team he plays for, or if he's zoned out staring at the ghosts, listening to what they have to say, he makes what he does look effortless, even though it is jaw-dropping. And for all of us who think, oh, it's only 30 minutes, I could do that.
No, you couldn't.
No, you couldn't. No, do not let Quinn Hughes make you think this is easy. You would be lucky to last 3 minutes at NHL pace in a hockey game.
When
if
Hughes
you're
is a
coming off the
fucking
couch.
giga athlete. There are so few NHL players. Like, you're lucky, like a defenseman starts to approach 30 minutes if the game gets to fucking OT. Let alone in normal play. Just insane. But let's hit on the final thoughts here. Deep down, I do wish we could have played this iteration of the Dallas Stars, the ones who couldn't score a goal 5-on-5 to save their lives. Considering how well Colorado limited Minnesota's impressive star power at 5-on-5, I would have loved to have seen that put to the test against this Dallas team, especially with the special teams Colorado has right now. It would have been gratifying to exercise those past demons, but you play who you get. And the Colorado Avalanche dispatched the Wild better than even I thought they would. They truly only had one bad game in this series where they looked flat. Every other game, it looked like they were fighting with every inch of their being to win. They have a system that they're sticking to and that works with total team buy-in. I have to commend the Wild. They have some serious star power and played incredibly well every game, and we're never fully out of it, but they just could not overcome the depth and waves of the Avalanche. Cut and dry. The Wild were only truly dangerous when Hughes and Faber pair was on the ice. They could get anyone to score, but even they can't play 60 minutes. Colorado is dangerous when anyone is on the ice. I was excited at the prospect of playing the Wild because I knew playing them would allow Colorado to play the style of game that they wanted to rather than being boxed in and slowed down like they were against the Kings. But guess what? They won that series too. These two rounds as a whole have shown, and I know this isn't an original narrative, but it's true, that it doesn't matter what style of game you try and play against the Colorado Avalanche because they will adapt to it and beat you. You can even try to get one game on them, but they'll respond and win. The Minnesota Wild tried anything they could to get the upper hand, and the Hughes trade clearly was not in vain. He was a game breaker. Wallstead stole game 3, but to ask this team, any team, to beat Colorado 4 times, the Wild had to do it 3 times in a row to win this series, is an incredibly tall ask for anyone. It is hard to recognize individual players for this series for Colorado because they played fully as a team. Yes, there may have been some noted individual performances, and I do still have a 3 players of the series, but everyone on Colorado is chipping in, and that should give everyone some high confidence in the Western Conference Final.
The entire continental U.S. Is now on an emergency weather alert as a hurricane and an avalanche just tear right towards one another.
Sounds looking.
Bowling through anyone in their path. Like, it's not that their opponents haven't played well, haven't made these games close. These teams have they won their respective conferences in the regular season for a reason, and they're backing it up in the playoffs so far. You can question their opponent or commend their opponent, but either way, they both have 8 wins already. They're sitting there resting. They're getting ready to do it again to whichever team survives their current battles. It's crazy and yet not crazy to watch, right? I know plenty of us had that finale in our brackets, but
Crazy?
You don't always see.
I was crazy.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I'm crazy all the time, and that's why I have all the puns. But it's, I mean, the talent, the skill level, just the quality of play is undeniable. And if it does ring true, if that is what happens, we're going to be treated to quite an incredible cup final this year.
Oh, yeah.
If it isn't ultimately Colorado versus Carolina. I feel like that's the best case scenario for the most exciting hockey.
I think Montreal would be more fun, personally, in my opinion. But
well, that's fair. I mean, Dobish could steal games. Montreal's youth. We also know how much of a fan you are of Montreal, so that would make talking about it more exciting.
it would.
I guess they could score more goals.
I don't hate Carolina. I just think it'd be more fun. Like,
you're right. Carolina's got more of that defensive skill, so they could make it more of a cat and mouse game rather than a high scoring.
Yeah, exactly. And again, people, don't count your chickens before they hatch, because ultimately the Avalanche do still have to win. Now, we can have confidence that this team is going to win, but there are no certainties in sports. So we just have to keep playing the games, keep playing the people, or keep playing the teams that are put in front of us. And that's really all that we can ask for, is that this team just keeps playing at this level that they have been demonstrating that they can, regardless of who they have to play. Yeah. But yeah, don't count your chickens before they hatch, everybody. They haven't won yet. They have to continue to win. But, keep believing.
We believe.
But Dom, did you have anything else? I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I think that that emergency weather report was kind of my last
that was fun
thought in a joking context, but also very true. It feels inevitable. I know it's not, and obviously the biggest hurdle is up ahead, being a conference final for either team, right? Especially when we talk Carolina and how that's been the stumbling block for years.
Again, it's going to be fascinating. Watching them in that conference final is going to be fascinating, because that's going to tell me everything I need to know, I think, going forward.
I would agree. I do, to some degree, pity whichever team gets out of this Vegas versus Anaheim series, but also if it's Vegas, I don't pity them at all in the slightest.
No, Anaheim fans are so funny. I put it in this point. I won't say it yet.
We'll save it for later then.
Yeah.
I jumped us too far ahead there.
Yeah. But I will say, I don't know why I put it down below. I should have put it up with the other thing, but I will give my 3 players of the series here. First, honorable mention goes out to 3 wild players. In my mind, Jesper Wallstedt, Kirill Kaprizov, Quinn Hughes. Obviously, I know that some Wild fans had gripes with Kirill specifically, but he did lead the playoffs in points at certain stretches during this series. So he was producing exactly like you'd want him to. Did he have all the qualities that you'd want every game? No, but I still think he was absolutely an impact player on the ice. He is one of the most dynamic wingers in the league. Is he worth $17 million? I don't know. Maybe when he's healthy. He fucking sure as shit plays like it. So obviously Quinn Hughes for the reasons we have already talked about, and Jesper Wallstedt for the reasons we've already talked about. But 3 players I want to shout out. Number 3 is Devon Taves, who quietly fucking put up 5 points in this series. He was 3rd on the team, by the way, and was a +6, which is amazing. He actually had the highest plus-minus of any skater in the series, so incredibly well done on his part. I mean, he assisted on getting the game tied. He was just defensively so good throughout this series. He just did a lot.
Each time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, each time Cale had to come off the ice for one hit or the other, since he took a beating in this series and missed some ice time at multiple points. You didn't really feel the difference. Taves stepped up. He was able to quarterback the offense, keep the puck moving, but he was always there shutting down on defense too. So it was really impressive, because obviously we think of them as a D pairing and how they work together, but the fact that Cale Makar, of all people, could be off the ice, and yet the team just really didn't skip a beat, and that's credit to Devon.
Yes.
1000%.
Yes, and that I think, is one of the other reasons why I recognize him here. And I actually didn't even know he was 3rd on the team in points until I just checked it. That was done before that fact. I just think his performance in this series, it very much deserves to be commended. He was so good. Number 2 is Martin fucking Necas, who played like the superstar that you needed him to be. He wasn't as impactful as you wanted him to be against Dallas. We know that. Full stop. That is the case, and we can acknowledge that fact. But he was what you needed him to be against the Wild. He has set a new career high in assists and points for himself in these playoffs, and we're only in round 2, which to me indicates that he can only get better going forward. And that's an incredibly promising sign as we gear up for, the Western Conference Final here next week. And if he's firing on all cylinders, in addition to Nathan MacKinnon, who just looks like if he loses, he will kill someone, that's great, because at number 1 is Nathan MacKinnon. I mean, what else can I say? He was incredible. Him and Martin Necas both had 9 points this series. Nathan's leading the team, I believe, with 12, I want to say. Give me just a second.
I have it pulled up.
Yeah, 13. Sorry. Yeah, 13, 7 goals, and has scored in 6 straight games. Oh, some of those are empty netters. And, again, you don't want him to shoot at the empty nets. Fucking Olympics whatever. So that's just consistency. He is out there just dialed in every night. He had 17 shot attempts last night. And for those of you who don't know how many that is, I think he had almost 9 shots. A shot attempt is around the net. And then he had 9 shots in addition to that. Actually, I can probably find out. Give me just a second. Oops. Give me just a second. Gotta click through hockey reference here, everybody. Here we go. Yeah. Nathan MacKinnon in this game had 9 shots. I fucking nailed it. Go me. He had 9 shots in this game. And then 17 shot attempts in addition to that. A player has a good game if they get 2 or 3 shots on net. Nathan MacKinnon had 9 and then 17 more attempts. He was not going to be stopped, to say the least. Not to mention, again, that game-tying goal is something that only special players can do. There are like 3 guys in the NHL that I can think of that can score from that spot with that little of space, and their names are Nathan MacKinnon, Kirill Kaprizov, and Leon Draisaitl. That's pretty much fucking it. So, Nathan MacKinnon just turns into his best self during the playoffs, and my God, do I feel lucky to be able to witness it every year being a fan of this team. He's coming for that Conn Smythe this year.
It's going to be his for the taking, although it would help if the Ducks can take out Vegas, since Marner's been having himself a playoffs, especially this year.
It's crazy, man. Toronto could use a guy like that.
Yeah, they could. They could use a lot of things in Toronto. The good news, they get to pick number 1 overall and get his replacement. But for MacKinnon, aim small, miss small. You know, he had a wide open net. He didn't pick his point and you know, missed it. He would have been better off in the Olympics if he just closed his eyes and let muscle memory do the rest. But when he only has this small target to aim for, it's a basic principle my uncle taught me, but anyone who's ever gone down to a range knows the smaller of a target, if you've ever done archery, anything, the more focused you are on a small point, even if you miss, your margin of missing is going to be smaller. So when you have the precision, just the raw talent that Mac possesses, it's shocking to all of us, but he can do that. Not many players would even try to take that shot when the goaltender's already there. And he does, just because he's that mentally tough and just says, try me. I'll do it. I'll make it. You think you got this, so I got you right where I want you. I got you confident. I'm going to put it right past you and just shatter your will. And I think it did a little bit, right? They weren't even tied yet at that point. Right? Or that one was the one that tied it at the end there, Corey. But the game was not over. But you knew once that one went in, the game was over. Because of how much of a backbreaker it was to show up in that moment.
Utterly.
And the only thing I'd add is that maybe there'll be a 4th player who can do that here in the next year, who also starts with the name Mac, because, you know, I got to hype up my guy. Because he's pretty good too. But yeah, MacKinnon is, we call him the dog for a reason. But when the moments are biggest, the big dogs show up. They're the ones who can always come up when you need them to, and he really has all playoffs.
Oh yeah. In regards to Macklin Celebrini in the playoffs, holy fuck, dude. It's gonna be incredible. You know it is. With how he performed on the world stage, I can't even begin to imagine how well he is going to do in these playoffs. So, yeah, I am confident, to say the least. But, Dom, we have some other series to talk about here, so let's jump right into Buffalo and Montreal. This series is playing out exactly how I hoped it would. A long war, with the series going back to Buffalo tied. I think this one could go the distance, but to be totally honest with you, I think Montreal has been the better team. And after this game tonight in Buffalo, I still think that. I said originally that this may be a bit of an ill-informed opinion as I haven't been able to lock in on every game as much as I would have liked to, but from everything I've seen, I personally think Montreal has been overall playing the better hockey. And again, after game 5 tonight, I double down on that. Both teams have looked great through stretches and both have looked less so, and that truly comes down to youth and inexperience, but that doesn't stop them from being ultra competitive and one trying to inflict their will upon the other. And it's so back and forth. I mean, it can change in a moment in a game. And it's truly fascinating because I think in some people's eyes, not mine, these two teams shouldn't have even been here. That they are still too early in their rebuild or too young and inexperienced. But both these teams are well coached and superbly staffed with some excellent talent. Not to mention, especially in Montreal's case, there is more talent on the way, which is insane. I think Dom put it best when he said it will be Montreal and San Jose that the East and West will have to run through for the next decade here in a few years. Buffalo's in a similar situation to Colorado in that they have a killer tandem where either goalie can get it done in net, and if one needs a break, you need to swap them out, you can do that without much of a worry. Whereas Montreal is more like a Lightning or Jets who are just riding their number one guy, which is funny because throughout the entire year, and this could be my own ignorance, I didn't think Montreal had a true number one, as every one of their 3 or so goalies they used kind of went through hot stretches until eventually going cold, and then another guy got put back, and then another guy got put back in. But Dobish has looked absolutely stellar, and tonight it was interesting because he gave up 3, kind of quick goals, but Coach Marty St. Louis left him in, and he stabilized for the rest of the game. For Montreal, though, even when their stars have been struggling, they've gotten excellent depth contributions, but you can say the same for Buffalo's D-core, who is incredibly active, especially Bowen Byram, which is not a shock as he was raised in the Avs system. Speaking of former Avs, Alex Newhook is absolutely owning this series and seems to score 2 goals every game for Montreal, so I am happy to see him doing so well. I truly wouldn't mind either team coming out of this series, but I personally want to see the Habs win it. I think that final would be incredibly entertaining should the Avalanche make it to that point. In my opinion, which take it for what you will, I think Montreal will give Carolina a harder time than Buffalo, but I believe either Montreal or Buffalo can hand Carolina at bare minimum their first loss of the postseason and make a competitive series out of it. But whoever allowed Carolina to get this much rest should be arrested. There's my pun, Dom. Thank you. I don't even need to make a note to add that in post now. You got it all handled for me.
You might. Listening to the audio last week, each of these were very quiet. So when I did the Discord sounds, I'm just
leaving it.
Cool. Well, glad I saw the pun ahead and I was like, cool, I'm going to queue up and be ready for it. Only thing I disagree is on the goaltending tandem. Montreal has been better. I mean, it was fair to say we all expected Montreal's special teams to be better since Buffalo, that's been a weak point, and Montreal, that's been a strength. Did not expect their 5-on-5 to be as impressive as it has been after Montreal was absolutely smothered by Tampa Bay. And looking back, and even in that defeat, got to give a lot of credit to Tampa Bay as a team and a coaching staff for how well they combated Montreal at 5-on-5 and really eliminated that. I think Buffalo has been able to force them to the outside, but it has been back and forth. There have been turnovers. It's not like Montreal's being stuck to 15 shots on goal or less in games here. And so even if Buffalo's shooting it more, I'm with you where I expected Buffalo to win this series and to be the better team at 5-on-5. I don't think this is going the distance, knowing that Game 6 is being played in Montreal.
Yes, that does change things quite a bit.
And I mean, Dobish, after out dueling Vasi in round 1, it's not surprising to see him take command multiple times in the series because the Sabres are winning close games. They won 4-2 in Game 1. They won 3-2 in Game 4 off of one of the most fluky, unique, wacky goals ever with like a billiard shot off the boards that just takes a weird ricochet, sneaks past Dobish's skate and in. And that's the difference. So then you look at what the Habs did. They won 5-1 and 6-2 in games 2 and 3, dominant fashion. Tonight's game, they won 6-3 after being down 3-2 10 minutes in. And that's, again, credit to Dobesh. The fact that he can give up 3 goals in 10 minutes, not let it get to his head, keep on playing, and play the rest of the game, the next 50 minutes perfectly, while his team scores 4 unanswered. I agree. This team's going to give Carolina more trouble. I think they could give Carolina not just one, but multiple losses and make it more of a series. I disagree, I guess, or going back to that is I don't think Buffalo's tandem has performed well in this playoffs. Have they been okay?
I think Lion's been
serviceable.
Really good.
Lion has been good at points
up until recently.
Yeah, but even he has dropped off where Dobesh, I think Montreal's backup goalies might be better in this series right now. And they're not even going to see any ice time because of how much Dobesh has taken over. But neither of Buffalo's goalies inspire any confidence going to a game 6 in Montreal, which I also have to acknowledge how wrong I was. I said that Montreal would not be capable of winning 3 games on the road in Buffalo. And I might prove myself right if they win game 6 and there is no 3rd or 4th road game in Buffalo, but they've already won 2 out of the 3 played in Buffalo so far. So I figured Buffalo could at least take 2 games at home and have that home crowd advantage and presence. I remember like it was a hot take at the start of this, right? And they did steal one in Montreal, to be fair, but even so, just Buffalo has underwhelmed in this series. Even when they're playing well, they're not putting pucks in the net. These games are close. They're nerve-wracking. They're on the edge. Whereas Montreal, when they're winning, they are putting up extras and they are creating a buffer. So,
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, so to me, it feels less close of a series actually than what I expected.
I mean, well, first of all, everybody, I want you all to know I typed these thoughts out last night. So this is before game 5. And really, game 5 has just reasserted them for me. And like I said, allowed me to double down. But I think that's the one thing that you said is I think Buffalo is scoring. That's not the issue. They're able to put pucks in net. Again, they scored 3 goals tonight. 3 goals should be enough to win a game, unless you're some teams. But the thing with Montreal is exactly as you said. Not only is Montreal scoring, but then they're creating that buffer. They are just creating a better offensive attack for themselves. And that's where I think they have excelled. Yes, Buffalo's D-core is activating more, but Montreal is just, I think, taking advantage better here. And obviously, they're just putting up the better performances game in and game out. And I mean, even in their loss in Montreal, it was close. And I mean, had the goofy ass puck, and again, I know I'm being a hypocrite here saying this. Had Tage Thompson's goofy goal off the stanchions not gone in, it would have been a 2-2 game. Who knows? They could have won it fucking in overtime. But again, that's not living in reality. That's not what happened. But still, point remains. I agree, though. It is an incredibly tall ask now. Yes, Buffalo has won in Montreal. And I mean, in all fairness, fucking Tampa went into Montreal. Or no, fucking scratch that thought. No,
you're right. Tampa went into Montreal and won game 6. Yeah,
okay, I was right. I was like, wait, who was on the elimination block? So I mean, Tampa went in and won in game 6, but I don't know if Buffalo can do the same thing. It is an extra kind of pressure to know that you are on the elimination block and you have to win in your opponent's building, let alone the fucking Bell Center. Now, I gotta sneeze. Hold on. Oh my God.
Bless you.
Shit. Thank you. Ugh. I almost lost an eyeball there. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord. Oh God, I have no tissues around here. Shut up. All right. Well, sorry, shirt. You're going to have to do. Oh, Lord. Anyway, what the fuck was I saying? My brain's gone. Yeah. There's pressure on Montreal as well, obviously, to win at home. The Avalanche know all about that. But man, I do think it's a tall ask. I don't know if Buffalo can do it. I think it'd be fun if they did it and it went to Game 7. I don't know if they can do it. And that's not to shit on Buffalo. They've played some great hockey, and it's so cool to see them finally make the playoffs, and they had a good run at it. But, oh man, this Montreal team is just good right now. They're just connected. Montreal is very connected right now.
The fact that Goal Caulfield has just been absent.
Compulsive Caulfield.
Yeah, he's goalless Caulfield right now.
No, he's not. He scored today.
You know what I mean. I'm replacing goal with goalless. I know he scored today. You get the point.
But he's finally okay. This doesn't work.
We've been going back and forth on whether or not we're talking Game 5 or not. Anyway, I had it in my notes before too, and I just kept it there from leftovers scattered. But
okay,
the point is that he hasn't showed up at all. He's in the rocket hunt and all the talk of, if empty netters don't count, he should have won it. And then he's not showing up in the playoffs, and yet it hasn't mattered. They've found a way.
Just like with the Avs.
And I feel like he's gonna show up eventually is the thing. So when that happens, this team's gonna get even more dangerous if that's possible.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see what happens here on what's today? On Saturday. It's great because tomorrow on Friday, we're going to go see a movie and I don't have to worry about missing any hockey for once. So that is nice. Also, almost forgot to share this. It was the cutest fucking thing ever. Brett Kulak is very happy that he scored that series winner because he can be at his daughter's birthday party tomorrow.
Oh my God. That is so heartwarming.
So yeah, I'm tearing up just thinking about it. It's so cute because think about these little kids. It's just that's their dad. They're not a fucking professional fucking athlete who are, seen as idols in the eyes of fans. They're just dad. And so it's like, yay, daddy doesn't have to go on the road. He can be at home for my birthday, which is just, so yeah, now the Wild can also be at all their daughters' birthday parties as well. So it works out for everybody.
Yeah.
Works out for everybody, in my opinion. But no, I had to share that because it was, oh my God, so fucking cute.
Well, that right there is truly magical. He breaks up the play on the defensive end, scores the game winner, his first of the series, and it allows him to be at his daughter's birthday. That's the type of thing where you look and see this was meant to happen. No matter what happened before this, it was always going to come out some way for him to be the hero in multiple ways for all of us as fans, but also for his own family, for his daughter. That's really cool. That's beautiful and poetic, and just also wonderful that that's where his thought goes. He does these things, and that's his first thought too. That's a true dad right there. And so you're absolutely right to mention it. Shout out Brett Kulak. What a role model to be followed right there. That
man deserves a Stanley Cup right there. Other thing here that I almost forgot, and another reason why Nathan MacKinnon was #1 player in the series. Nathan MacKinnon has scored a goal in 46.2% of his playoff games. In case you're wondering where that stands in all of hockey history, that is the third best rate of all fucking time.
I'm concerned about my internet right now, so hopefully I'm not talking over you.
No, you're good. Wait, sorry, here it is. That's third all time, tied with Craig Simpson. And it trails only Mario Lemieux at #1, 54.2%, which doesn't surprise me. I think personally Mario Lemieux is actually the greatest hockey player of all time. And Mike Bossy at 46.5. So Nathan is right there behind Mike Bossy. You know who's not ahead of him? Connor David or fucking Wayne Gretzky. Nathan MacKinnon.
Dude shows up when it matters most.
It doesn't matter how long he's in the playoffs. Nathan MacKinnon will always be there.
It's again, we said this was an episode packed with fun facts, but this isn't
I
a
can't
fun
even
fact.
remember
This
them
is an
all.
insane stat.
There's so many that came out of this series. There's so many. I should have done a better job writing them all down, but there's just so many.
No, you did fine. We did fine. We're bringing to you what we can, but this is exactly why what we've said before. If you're not watching these games, I understand. We all have life. We all have jobs. We have things, responsibilities as adults. Find a way. Budget the time. Go back and watch the games. If you can't watch them live, record them. But be watching this team, because we'll do our best to bring it to you and share it from our fan perspective. But if you're not watching, you are missing out on absolutely insane hockey almost every night. Obviously, we have Friday night off, but especially from the Avalanche, just be watching. It's the games are going to go down. There's going to be less of them. You're going to have an easier time not missing them. Just make sure you're watching, because we'll do our best, but nothing we can say or do. We can't get it all. There's just not enough time.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing our best. But let's talk about the game that we are watching right now and is pretty much the determiner. We're all Ducks fans tonight. And that's the Ducks versus Vegas. Oh boy. Yep, exactly. This is the series everyone is praying goes to 7. Avalanche fans are praying for Game 7 to give some of the injuries picked up in the series against the Wild more time to heal, although it doesn't matter now anymore with the schedule announcement. Everyone else, though, including Avs fans, are praying for 7 games because not a single person other than the residents of Las Vegas want to see Vegas win this series. Fuck you, Rico. Haven't said that one in a while. I also just think playing Anaheim in the Western Conference Final would be way more fun. And apparently so would Anaheim fans. One, because they obviously don't want to lose this series to Vegas. Ew. But I was trolling through a thread this morning. I was just laughing to myself because all of these trolling through an Anaheim thread, should have clarified, an Anaheim fan thread this morning. I was just laughing to myself because all of them were sharing the same sentiment of it would be an honor to go to the Western Conference Final and be swept by Colorado. And that's the kind of attitude and fans I want to deal with going forward. I think the Ducks have a better chance than the Mammoth did. Lukas Dostal has looked significantly better in this series than he did against Edmonton. Unfortunately, the same can be said about Carter Hart on the other end of the ice. The Ducks' power play has almost been totally neutralized. The best power play in these postseason. And they've also been out shooting Vegas for large stretches of their games, but they just haven't been able to put those shots away. And this is what's killing them. Vegas is also an incredibly opportunistic team in that they can weather the storm of whatever is thrown their way, and they deliver a quick counterpunch up the ice with a rapid strike goal. They literally did it tonight. Sorry, I was just seeing what the fuck was going on there. With a rapid strike goal. They've done it many times. They also have an innate ability to score absolutely gut-punching goals as well that just sucks the momentum and confidence out of their opponents. The Ducks need to capitalize on more of their chances tonight and going forward to keep their hopes and chances alive in this series. But I truly think they can, and that isn't just because I want them to win. I think the Ducks have the better staff talent-wise, which is bold compared to the Marner, Eichel, Dorofeyev, and many others on Vegas, but I like the youth on Anaheim, especially going into the future. Anaheim's problems this time is that it just is underdeveloped at this point. These kids just need a bit more time to grow.
They do. Anaheim's playing with house money. That's why they're happy to lose to the Avalanche. They weren't supposed to be this far. When we talk about teams who weren't supposed to be here, let alone this far in the playoffs, Anaheim is that team. Unfortunately, I do think, much like if you go to Chef Ramsay's restaurant, they are cooked. I do think they're cooked. Yeah. I think this is just what Vegas does. Vegas, I picked them to win in 6 just because Vegas has this way about them where they are irritating, frustrating. They don't lead in the stats and yet find a way to win and be opportunistic.
Yep.
Very much like Dallas. I've compared the two where Vegas is my Dallas, and so all Sharks fans are praying for multiple reasons because we hate Vegas in a one-sided, not real rivalry of just pure hatred. Also for slight draft pick improvement, and just because go California, I guess. There's a multitude of reasons, right? But also just the Ducks would be fun. Dostal has looked a lot better, except for in game 3 when, once again, because it's me, the Knights went duck hunting and shot him square out of the sky. 3 goals on 8 shots faced. Oof.
Oh,
that was a brutal
4.
one.
Yep. Oh,
yep.
boy.
I was trying not to say it until you caught on, but I saw it while you were talking, and I was like, yep, they're done. They're done. They're just done.
Yep.
They had chances. They were close, but Vegas is going to win this one in 6, which is why I put it in my bracket, so I'd hedge my bet. Guys, so I hate sports betting. I think it's pretty dumb, especially with all these new markets where it's just causing problems, but this is how you hedge your bets. Where if you just have a gut feeling and it's a team you don't want to root for, put them in your bracket so at least you win something.
Yeah. So that leads me to another fun fact of the video. There's a lot of fun facts in this one that I came across today, that since 2020, the Western Conference Final has always been a combination of Edmonton, Dallas, Vegas, and Colorado. That is it. Those 4 teams. So if you want to know how to create your bracket next year, that's a good way to go. Although the Sharks may be looking to start to break that up here coming up. I don't think they'll make the Western Conference Final their first go around, but maybe the second round. But yeah, that's crazy to me. Since fucking COVID year, that's how the Western Conference is shaped out. Just dominated by 4 teams.
You underestimate the power of the teal side of the force.
I hope so, dude. It'd be awesome.
I'm obviously going to be believing. I think it's just determined based on how our defense has improved in the offseason and how ASCII plays, honestly. But I think it's in the range of outcomes because MacLeod. But yeah, you mentioned the power play. And before we go, move on to the next segment, I did pull the numbers. The Ducks were 50% on their power play against Vegas, against Edmonton.
Yeah.
50%, 8 for 16, which is clearly, I get it. Vegas has a great penalty kill. It's not the best penalty kill in the playoffs. I'll share that stat here momentarily as well. But they are phenomenal on the penalty kill. But the Ducks, 3 for 17 on power plays in this series. 8 for 16 in the first round against Edmonton. Rough. Edmonton, figure your stuff out. 3 for 17 in this series. And that's part of this huge swing. Vegas is not going to give you the easy ones. They're not going to, even when they make mistakes, take penalties, they're going to cover themselves up for it. They cover each other. And you know, it's frustrating. It's not going to make them look good on the stat sheet. They're not going to have more shots on goal, but they also don't care. As long as the puck's not in their net, it doesn't matter. Then those stats, all that matters is what's on the scoreboard. So, you know, irritating, frustrating, still really cool to see the Ducks make it this far. And who knows, the Avalanche scored back-to-back goals with less than 4 minutes left in Game 5. So could the Ducks do something miraculous?
3-1 lead. Oy. You have to score 3 to make the comeback here. Man, it is a tall order. If they could have kept it a little closer, but again, for some reason, Carter Hart has just become like fucking Martin Brodeur. I do not understand it. So hopefully the Avalanche can fare a little better here.
True. Carter Hart, I don't know wwhere he found this. I hope it disappears in the next series.
Like, bro has not played playoff hockey in 30 years. What is this?
But since I mentioned I would share it, fun fact number, I've lost count.
Yeah, million.
The true stone cold killers of this playoffs, I know we've kind of hinted at it, or we've dropped that team name. It's Carolina. Their penalty kill, 20 for 21 across 8 games. That's over 95%. Absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd penalty kill numbers. Yes, they were against Ottawa and Philadelphia, and Philadelphia had the worst power play in the playoffs. You could put asterisks on it all you want, but that's still absurdly good.
Oh, yeah.
So when we're talking about how much that, honestly, I want Montreal to win since their power play has been lethal against the best penalty kill and see best on best hockey right there. That would be fun.
That's what I'm saying. But Dom, I don't want to talk about the Knights anymore because we're probably going to be talking about them plenty in the week to come and the week after that. So you actually had some in the tank action, a little bit of an update. Although before we do that, just wanted to really briefly shout out Matthew Schaefer winning the Calder. He was the first unanimous Calder winner since Teemu Selanne in 1992-93. So doesn't surprise me per se, but, good for him. Great kid, super deserving. His family surprised him with it. He was very emotional. I like this way of delivering the awards to these players. So just wanted to shout out Matthew Schaefer for winning the Calder.
He deserves the generational tag. It gets thrown around a lot, but he does deserve that. I think when you look at this generation of hockey, obviously you're going to have Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes. There might be an argument for Werenski, but I think Schaefer is going to be similar to Celebrini, where he's just going to be the defenseman who is the face for all defensemen in the league here in a couple years' time. But again, that's just because age comes for us all. So he's going to step up to that mantle, I think, personally. And like you said, Corey, congratulations to him, and really cool how they do the awards. It's so much more endearing, and having their family be a part of it, I think that's a wonderful way to go about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But Dom, well, here we go. It's time for, he kind of sprung it on me, everybody. It's time for In the Tank with Dom.
Yeah, this was a last minute in the tank because one, I realized a couple of things. I was like, oh, I actually have enough for a brief in the tank, and I forgot something last week. So let's rewind. Corey inserts rewind sound afterwards because he does that awesome stuff, and we're grateful for him because this podcast would not come to you without your Captain Avalanche. So shout out you, Corey, for all you do behind the scenes that I don't even know how to do or understand how you do it.
No, I suck.
Stop it. That's In the Tank part 1. Part 2 is last week, forgot to report it because I'm a dummy. But the Sharks signed Patrick Giles to a 2-year contract extension. It's not a lot of money to an NHL player, maybe. A lot of money to you and I, though. $875,000 AAV for each of those 2 years. He has seen limited time at the NHL level as a depth forward for the Sharks. Only 3 games this past season, I should say, at just under 9 minutes per game played. However, he does project as a starter in that third, fourth line realm for the Barracuda again next season, and will certainly be given the opportunity to fight for a roster spot in preseason/training camp time, kind of like how Graf fought his way onto the roster. Anybody can at any time if they work hard enough and get their stuff in the right place that they could earn a spot with the NHL club. So always like seeing guys get extended, get that another shot to keep running it back. And the Barracuda were good this year. So good to have one of those pieces still there to help them be competitive in the AHL.
Yes.
News.
I was going to say, I have nothing to add there.
Yeah, no, I had to pause for a minute and itch my nose. News number 2, also in the contract realm, because we're going to go out of order. This is the most recent news, is the Sharks announced on Wednesday that they have officially signed winger Carson Wetch to a 3-year entry-level contract. That contract carries a total value of $2.99 million so just under $1 million per year in the AAV. He's a 20-year-old right winger and was drafted 82nd overall in the 3rd round of 2024. But here's some numbers for all of you who are interested in knowing, particularly you Sharks fans who've stuck it out this late in the episode. As a 19-year-old, for most of this 2025-26 season, he logged 22 goals and 50 assists in 65 games played. As the captain for the Kelowna Rockets, Kelowna. I don't know how to say all these Canadian names, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I think you're in the right ballpark.
That's in
there.
the WHL. That marked a big increase in points compared to his prior season in the WHL. That was 19 more points scored. And once again, love the leadership potential or seeing him with either the AHL club or the NHL club down the line from being the captain of that team. In the season prior, he did have, I guess, in this most recent season, a noticeable decline in goals, but obviously 19 more points. So he's having a bigger impact on the game. in 2024, also a captain that at that time of the Calgary Hitmen, he had 33 goals and 20 assists, so 53 points in 68 games played.
I'm sorry.
So,
did you say Calgary Hitmen?
Yep.
Is that a team?
In the WHL, it is.
Dude, I love fucking minor league teams. They have the most insane names. That's the Calgary Hitmen. Oh my God. Sorry to break away. That just caught me off guard.
I'm with you. I was instantly picturing a beer league team with John Wick's face on it. With one hand had a beer and the other hand had like one of his weapons. That's what my mind went to when I saw Calgary Hitmen. So I was right there with you. But the part that matters, he started scoring more points, even if it was fewer goals. He was captain of both of these teams at the age of 18, between the ages of 18 and 20. So there's leadership potential there. And he should be getting his shot to play with the Barracuda this upcoming season, maybe be another one of those young prospects in the pool that can make the jump to the NHL level. And as a winger, I've talked about how we have a lot of depth at center that started to come in. So having some extra depth on the outside is something we need. So great to have another piece making their way up from the junior ranks into the let's be real, into the pros. So that's really cool for him. So shout out and congratulations to you, Carson. But finally, Corey, this is the news you care most about, unless you wanted to add something for the ELC.
Nah, let's do it.
Macklin Celebrini is the captain of Team Canada at the IIHF World Championships. He was named captain. I think, did we talk about this last week? I feel like we talked about it briefly last week.
Maybe. I don't remember if this ended up coming out like after he had already been named.
Well, whether we said it or not, now you know Macklin is getting more experience as captain of Canada at the World Championships, which start, I want to say, tomorrow.
Yes, May 15th, I believe, is what we said. Yes. So yeah, we had to have talked about it.
Yes. So be sure you're watching that on a night with no NHL. You can watch some hockey anyway during the afternoon if you feel so inclined.
True.
But the fun facts here and the really critical news that just dropped today. Despite Sidney Crosby being announced as joining Team Canada's roster, Macklin Celebrini will remain as the team captain. They had a whole team meeting about it. The man known as Captain Canada will still serve in the leadership role, but he will be wearing an A instead of a C, effectively passing the torch. Like, we all know at the Olympics in 4 years, it's probably going to be McDavid wearing the C. But there's more reason to doubt that now, because he's not there at Worlds, and Sidney Crosby is willingly stepping aside and saying, "Take the torch, young one, my heir apparent, Macklin. You wear the C. You captain this team. I believe in you." And when Crosby steps out on that ice at Worlds for Team Canada, it will be the first time in 5,290 days that he has played a hockey game without wearing the C on his chest. That is 14 and a half years since Sidney Crosby played a hockey game without the letter C plastered on his chest. And that's not even our fun fact tonight, but it has to be another one of the fun facts because we just couldn't get enough in here. But what matters here is, one, we get to see Crosby and Macklin play together on the same line again. Yay. Two, Crosby is saying, "Have my throne, young one." And we get to see Celebrini as captain for Canada. And I never want it to change. This is the reason why I'll be rooting for Canada, even though I've always rooted for the U.S. Corey, it's happened to me. You've brought me over to the Canadian side, to the old maple syrup.
You can't help it when your favorite player is playing for that international club. It's just the way that it be. But I mean, yeah, it's the ultimate respect of and from Sidney Crosby. And it really doesn't surprise me necessarily that he came in late, obviously, to replace Matt Barzal after not originally wanting to come. It doesn't surprise me that he came in and didn't just be like, nah, that's my seed, give it to me. That's just not the way that Sidney Crosby is. You know, he's respectful enough to acknowledge, like, hey, you know, I wasn't going to be here to lead you originally. MacLeod was. So he, by all means, deserves to hold and learn in this leadership role. But now I'm just here to, you know, support him in that way. And I mean, that's why I think MacLeod's going to make a great captain next year, even, you know, being so young, because he's being mentored under the best captain in Canada's history. I mean, Sidney Crosby is Captain Canada. He will be Captain Canada when we look back on him in history, when he's a first ballot fucking Hall of Famer. I mean, it's great that the players all got together and mutually decided that that was going to be the case. And I mean, there are some strong veterans on this team who have been captains of organizations. Ryan O'Reilly is an assistant captain. Mark Scheifele, well, not a captain, but is also an assistant captain for his club. Is also an assistant captain, and yet they, you know, chose this young kid to lead them forward. And it isn't just because MacLeod is, I think, the best player on that team. We all know he is, but it's because he does demonstrate, even at 19 years old, the qualities that a good captain and leader should have for a hockey program. And I think Sidney Crosby, having been about as close as you can get, knows that and acknowledges that fact. And unfortunately, there will come a day, unfortunately, every day that passes by, it gets closer and closer, that Sidney Crosby is going to retire and he won't play hockey anymore. So the fact that, you know, it looks like he has chosen, as Dom said, his heir apparent, his guy to take up the mantle that he thinks is worthy is MacLeod Celebrini. Yes, Connor McDavid is great. He would also make an excellent captain, but Celebrini just, I think, has that quality where, as we've said time and time again, he's going to be the best player in the league here. And it's going to be that way, just as it has been for, you know, Connor McDavid, even though you can make some debates for McKinnon and whoever you want to try and talk about. MacLeod Celebrini will be the best player in the NHL for a long time to come. And there's some great kids coming into the NHL. It will be MacLeod Celebrini.
It's hard to add anything to that. Very well said, my friend. And
I try.
Again, just awesome and cool and a blessing that we get to talk about this. We get to watch him all the time. The fact that, yes, he came to my franchise, but for both of us, and I hope all of you listening also, even if you're Avs fans, take joy and have been able to appreciate and try to catch some of MacLeod's highlights to see that potential. But it must be truly, even for him, he's always been such a humble and level-headed kid. Still so humbling to him to have that hero, that person who he's like learning from all the time, who's like a little kid, like, teach me, sensei, also say, here you go, here's the keys to the kingdom. And he's 19. He's still a teenager. Man, somehow the best years are ahead, and yet it already feels like it's right now.
He's not even in his prime. This kid is going to be so fucking nasty. Like, it's not even funny. God, he's going to be so nasty when he hits, like, between the ages of 25 and 30. Like, this isn't even the best that he can be. He's going to be better. That's the horrifying part. He broke the Sharks' all-time single-season points record, and he's not even as good as he will be. That's, oh my gosh, man.
Especially with an 84-game season, it's not if, it's just when does he score 150 points in a season. Yep. And then once he does it, when does it stop?
Yeah, I don't think it will for a long time.
Let's set the plus minus at 3 years of when it starts. Honestly, I think it could start at you could set it at, let's say 4. He starts at 22 or 23-year-old season. And then from there, it doesn't stop for like 6-7 years. And then maybe he drops to like 140 a year.
He'll be the best player in Sharks history. Let's be so real with ourselves.
Yeah, and I can't wait. He already is. I mean, he's already breaking records to be the best player in Sharks history after just 2 seasons. After there's just 1 season.
Yep.
So, yeah. Sharks fans, I know we had some good teams. We had a President's Trophy team that fell flat.
By the way, I think he'll get the Ted Lindsay.
I really hope he gets the Ted Lindsay because let's be real, he was snubbed for not even if the Sharks didn't make the finals or make the playoffs, nobody was more important to their team.
Oh yeah,
than him this year. I'm sorry,
I am absolutely with you.
But we're keeping it positive. This is a celebration moment.
It's a celebrating moment. All right, game's over. I'm turning it off.
Hey, nice. All right.
So for everybody who's wondering, the Avalanche will be playing the Vegas Golden Knights in the Western Conference Final. Fucking womp,
the Vegas Golden
womp.
What now? The Golden Pukes? The Golden
whatever
heads?
you want to call them, man. Hopefully we can do
Golden
everyone
turdlets.
Hopefully we can do everyone a favor. But I do want to do a brief, even though this won't account for that game, I'm going to do a brief bracket check-in here, and surprisingly, not much has actually changed. My mom and your sister still sit squarely at the top of the bracket, although your sister selected the Ducks to win, so that's going to hurt. My mom did select Vegas through round 2, but she did think the Oilers were going to make it to the conference final, which is not, I think, a wrong thing to think, because that is what they did for multiple years now. So yeah, that is just womp. And then Avs fan 05045 is still number 3. Go Avs go? Question mark is number 4. Tied with the Big
Confirm
BG.
That's my brother, by the way.
What the fuck, Gabriel? The Big BG is also tied for 4th. Avs goated, which is my friend, is in 6th. You, me, and Coach Dylan are all, labeled as 7. And what the fuck, Keek is in a generous last place. But you know what, Keek? You selected the Avs to go all the way and Montreal to go all the way. So for all we know, you could still be right in that assertion. But she did not get a single thing right in the West other than the Avalanche going all the way so far. So did get Philadelphia going around 2, though.
Gotta say, even though if we can't count it right now, I do have to shout out the occasionally bit of a shithead that is my little brother, because he's the only one who had Vegas winning this second round series. I'm pretty sure, if I'm looking at this correctly, or no, it's not him. Shout out the Big BG, Brendan. He has Vegas picked to the conference final correctly, so he is going to jump to the lead and is the only one who's going to move up after the game tonight.
And I want to point out that Giannis Donskoy still is 100% correct, although his bracket might be busted here soon, but we'll see. He accurately has predicted the West, completely correct. He predicted Minnesota over Dallas, Avs over Minnesota, and he predicted Vegas over Utah and the Ducks, and now Vegas in the Western Conference Final against the Avs.
Wow.
I mean, he fucking nailed it. But where he might get busted here is he did pick Carolina all the way to the Eastern Conference Final and accurately picked Philadelphia versus Carolina. That's the most impressive part. But he did pick Buffalo to come out into the Eastern Conference Final, so that may be where he gets it wrong here. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, he literally has it perfect so far, which is really impressive.
Well, I hope he keeps it up, since I have Buffalo in both of my brackets, both the original and the second chance. I am going to not so humble brag about my second chance bracket being 100% perfect, all but the 3 points for giving Philly the benefit of one game right now.
Womp.
So, because, this is why you just pick Vegas to win.
I know,
everyone.
fuck.
But
you just don't want to. You don't want to do it.
But that's exactly why you got to pick Vegas to win, because then when it happens, you can be like, well, it's a consolation prize, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Small one. That doesn't matter. But, because let's be real. do we really care if our brackets are right or not?
No, I just care that the
teams
Avalanche
we wanna
win.
do.
Yeah. Jeez.
So ultimately, then I can at least win something if Vegas wins to make it less unbearable.
Yeah, it's true. But, we're almost out of time here. And with all the fun facts we have had today, it is time for the official fun fact of the episode, which is brought to you by Dom from the Tank. And, we didn't talk about Carolina a whole lot this episode. So, Dom, if you want to hear about Carolina, Dom has got you covered. So, Dom, what do you got?
Well, this evening I put it in my notes as the fun fact zone because of the multitude of fun facts we have and just stats. So while it's not set in stone, while there's still another round to be played, Avalanche fans, let's get to know your most likely Stanley Cup final opponent in 5 minutes or less. Hopefully less, because if I somehow make this take 5 minutes, I'm not doing my job well of not talking too much. Okay. For starters, the most obvious one, or maybe not obvious to all of you listening, but the most important one, the Carolina Hurricanes are the first team to go 8-0 through the first 2 rounds of the playoffs since 1987, when all 4 rounds of the playoffs became best of 7 series. Other teams have won 8 games to start the playoffs. The Oilers in 85, I believe, is the team who did that. But no team has won their first 2 series of the playoffs and gone 8-0. Basically, in that era, ever since 1987, no team has done it where they have swept both the first and second rounds in best of 7 series. What? I get it. Their opponents were not as good as the Avalanche opponents, right? I mean, we could debate with the Kings, but the Wild was obviously a better opponent than anybody the Canes have had to play. And the Avs,
but you play who you get.
9 games.
In all fairness, you play who you're given. They have no choice over that.
And you know what?
And
they made their opponents look bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. They allowed 5 goals in 4 games versus the Flyers. The exact same stat line as they did against the Senators in round 1. Allowing 10 goals through 8 games played is absurd. What did they give Freddie Anderson? And clearly the rest that they're getting is keeping him fresh. He hasn't burned out like we expect. I mean, Carolina fans, knock on wood, Eastern Conference Finals around the corner. See if he's fresh enough to not collapse again. But I would like to think that all the rest they've gotten in between these rounds, he's going to be at his best for this next series against either Buffalo or Montreal, whomever it winds up being.
But see, this is where Freddie starts to fall off every single year. So that's really what I'm looking out for. But it is, I think, something that should be recognized for all the love that the Avalanche are getting in the playoffs. And I think they're getting more because they're playing right now and Carolina's just sitting. Carolina deserves a lot of credit for what they have accomplished up to this point, because oh my fucking God, it is an equally dominant run right now. And yes, the Avalanche have a loss, but the nice part is Carolina fans and Avs fans actually really like each other. We are disaster bros. So if that is what the final comes down to, there is like zero animosity between these two franchises. So that at the very least would be nice. Where it's just like, you know what, man, we like you. I like you. We like you. I like you too. But, we want our teams to win. So,
yeah, I like you. You like me. No hard feelings. I need to kick your teeth in. But
exactly.
Best of luck.
Exactly.
But what I had written down as the real fun fact of the week, the one that's a little bit more obscure unless you're paying attention, which again, Carolina has been slept on. I feel like their media doesn't get the same national attention. No. And that's just because they're not based in Colorado, Minnesota, or Boston in these major hockey hubs. They're in the southeast of the country, relatively speaking. It's other than Florida. That's where all the attention is going in that region of the country because of the last couple of years, and Tampa before that. So again, they get slept on. They don't get enough coverage. And now you're going to find out more about them because Rod Brindamore, the head coach of the Hurricanes, has played or coached in 94 of the 96 all-time playoff wins the Carolina Hurricanes have as a franchise. Let me repeat that and restate it differently. The Hurricanes as a franchise, the Carolina Hurricanes, have 96 wins in their history in the playoffs. Rod Brind'Amour has either been the head coach behind the bench or a player on the ice for them for 94 of those. That's 98%. So basically, Carolina has almost never won a game and never, ever won a series without Rod Brind'Amour in some fashion. He's 55-42 as the head coach. He was 39-33 as a player, including winning the cup with the Canes in the 2005-06 season. If that doesn't give him job security in the NHL, I don't know what will. They can't. They've never won a series without him. He is the only coach in NHL history to win at least a playoff series in his first 8 years with the franchise. Technically, the only one to do 7 or more. So he's just giving himself extra margin. So, I mean, I get it. There were questions about if Carolina can't get over this Eastern Conference final, like, he should have job security for the next decade. I don't care what the result is. They haven't had success without him, which is insane to think about.
Yeah. Not much to add there other than that's just insane. Talk about some involvement there. That's just insane.
And ultimately, like, if they decide that they do need a new coach, then they need him to be like a GM or a scout or something. They just can't let him leave that building.
God, I don't know how you ever justify getting rid of him, though. He's just, I know that this team is kind of infamous for their late stage collapses. Like, oh yeah, round 1 and 2, fucking easy. And then they make it to the conference finals and it's like, well, fuck, never mind. We forgot how to play hockey. But like, oh man, how do you justify ever getting rid of Rod Brind'Amour? He's just brought you success over and over again. But then, you know, what the fuck am I saying? The Oilers just fired Chris Knobloch and he just took them to 2 straight finals.
Yeah, that'll solve the problem.
Hired
Not
to
at
be
all.
fired.
Yeah. Apparently they were, before they announced the firing, they had asked Vegas about hiring or interviewing Bruce Cassidy. So that's how Knobloch found out before the official announcement today. He knew it was coming. Doesn't make sense. It's not his fault that you can't get him a goalie that has competence or defensemen who aren't overpaid by like $4 million a year.
That is just, that's hockey, baby.
Indeed. But thank you for letting me share some fun facts about the Carolina Hurricanes and all of the fun facts that together we got to share tonight, Corey. It was a very fun episode. I hope all of you had fun because I know I had fun. Corey, I think you had fun recording it. So hope you all had fun. And remember, watch the hockey games yourself. We'll do the best we can, but get out there, talk about your love of the Avs, spread it to other people.
Exactly. And if you want to, leave in the comments, tag us, do something. If you counted the number of fun facts that we had in this episode, because it was definitely more than normal. Well, everyone, the clock is counting down to the final horn. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this episode of the Captain Avalanche Fancast. If you have something you want to know about the Avalanche, Sharks, or just hockey in general, reach out to us on our socials or email, and we'll be happy to try and answer it. The best thing you can do if you like what we're doing here is to follow us on whatever platform you're using and to share this podcast everywhere you can with everyone you can. I'm Captain Avalanche Corey.
And I'm Dom from the Tank.
Check out our new episodes every week. Thanks, everyone.